Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello people and welcome to Footy JUDGEMO, another panel show, back-to-back panel shows, which is strange these days to do panel shows, to be honest. But listen, we had to discuss Erik Ten Hag's future at Manchester United and the expectations this season after some people said that he has to challenge for the league based on his first season at Manchester United and how much money he spent and all the backing that he's getting. And Manchester United, of course, are leading the transfer market in every single aspect. Of course, signing the players, getting their targets in early. So that's his Man United, to be honest, need to challenge this season. Challenge for what? For the league? Challenge for top four? We'll absolutely speak about that, of course. And also, Arteta publicly demanding more signings from Arsenal. The Calafiori deal is not done yet. They are linked to Merino, of course, and they want another guy. Because Osimhen now is on the market again after the deal with PSG collapsed. Should Arsenal sign him? Should Chelsea sign him? But short and sweet, what are the expectations of the two red clubs? Of course, the clubs that we all grew up watching them battle, Wenger versus Alex Ferguson. What are the expectations this season? Can both clubs go back to the top? Can Man United, under Erik Ten Hag, under the new structure, go back to the top as quickly as possible? We'll speak about that as well. Listen, people, right off the bat, let's get to 100 likes right off the bat. Hit that like button underneath the live chat if you're watching this live. And if you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button because we are joined by a brilliant and a fantastic panel. Of course, leading the panel is Mina. Of course, is here, Man United fan, shining bright. Of course, she did a stream this morning, spoke about the midfield and analyzing all the midfields. If you haven't checked her channel is very simple. Mina Football. It's pinned in the description. I'm going to put it. It's very simple. It's just one click away from your subscription. So go and subscribe. And we're joined by the man off camera, of course, Mohamed Salah, who has been late, who is the one who delayed us a little bit. So we blame him for that. And Olo, of course, the Arsenal fan that we all love, of course, is here. But how is everyone doing?
Good. I mean, the only thing is I'm a little bit jealous because someone said, Mina's one of their favorites and they agree with pretty much everything she says. So that makes me feel really jealous already, like prior to us even starting the stream. But yeah, I'm good.
There's nothing to be, listen, there's nothing to be jealous about. 1 minute they'll love you. I say one thing wrong, they're going to hate me.
Sorry I'm late, guys. It's becoming a regular occurrence. I really apologize. Forgive me. I'll make up for it with the stream. I'm sorry, guys.
Bro,
yeah,
people like Mina to the point that someone said, I wish Mina was an Arsenal fan, bro.
I told you. I feel, listen, I feel left out now. I feel left out. But also, I mean, Mo Salah, what we're going to do is we're going to start giving you a different time for when we start. So you know how we've got like Nigerian time? We're going to have more Salah time, which is even earlier than the time is actually scheduled.
To be fair, I'm only about 8 minutes late. Last week, I was on Dan Potts' podcast and I was like 45 minutes late. And I felt, and it was genuinely like, it's never my fault. I'm not intending to be late, but we're here now.
Where do we start? We don't
have much time to talk about football rather than it's not school. You know what I'm trying to say? We're explaining where we're late.
I miss talking to Mohamed Salah. When was the last time you were actually at a show with me?
The last time we done a stream together was on HUSAM's channel on
MHF.
No, it wasn't. It was on HUSAM's channel on Al Ahwa. That was the last time we did a show together.
You were on Al Ahwa?
Yeah.
Oh my, wow. Okay.
Imposter. What is he doing on Al Ahwa? What is he doing there? What are you doing there?
You were there and you left. It was when England. It was a special occasion when England lost in the final, and HUSAM felt that it was necessary to get England's biggest hater to come and join the podcast.
We actually had Dayo and HUSAM, like, just called him Dawood on Al Ahwa just to give him a name. Anyway, where do we start? We start with Arsenal, we start with Manchester United, or we start with actually Osimhen? Actually, I wanted to touch on Osimhen before we actually go on, since we have Mohamed Salah here. Osimhen now, there are conflicting news, but I don't want to stay long on Osimhen. But the thing about it is that the report saying today is that PSG cannot get rid of Kolo Muani or Goncalo Ramos. So basically, they agreed personal terms with him, assuming that one of them will leave. But unless one of them leaves, they can't sign the guy. They're just not gonna have a third striker on the books for the reason of it.
We've agreed terms with Lukaku, so we need one of Kolo Muani and Ramos to get sold, so we can then sell Osimhen, and then we can get Lukaku.
But the angle here is, and I'm gonna start actually with, before I start with Salah, I'm gonna start with Mina here, because she doesn't support Chelsea, she doesn't support Arsenal. This new notion that the Premier League clubs don't want Osimhen, I don't know if you agree with it or not. He is on the table again for a cheaper price than what they started with 100 million pounds. Now it went to 90 million euros, if I'm understanding this correctly. 90 to 100 million euros, including everything. Should one of the Premier League's clubs get the guy? Is he good enough to play in the Premier League? Can he push Arsenal, for example, to win the league? Can he push Chelsea to guarantee top 4? Because a lot of people don't see it this way. What do you think about this? Because
I think Victor Osimhen is an interesting one. Had he left the season when Napoli won the league, I think that would have been better for his career. But then he signed a gentleman agreement with the club where he said he'll stay for another year. They put the 120 million release clause, right? If I'm not wrong, it's 120 million.
130 euros, so it's like
130 euros. It says like 122 pounds. He's not worth that. In simple ways, he's not worth that price tag. But I feel like with release clauses,
you can't say that, because when guys like Caicedo and Enzo,
but again, let me finish my point.
The price tag was made when Chelsea were going crazy.
He's not gonna let you back your.
Let me. I didn't even finish my first sentence.
He's not gonna let you talk about.
No, the thing is, I'm at a stage where I want this saga to be done, and I actually want him to leave so we can move on. Like, it's beneficial for us now to move on, because we're gonna get Lukaku for a fraction of the price. Lukaku's reducing his wages significantly, and then with that money we can bolster our squad. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
So let me ask you a question, because you just said you're going to get Lukaku for less than the price, less wages if he'll bolster. Is that your way of implying that Lukaku is a better fit and a better player for Napoli than Osimhen?
No, not at all. I'm saying Lukaku, you're not going to get a striker as prolific as Lukaku for the price that Napoli are going to get him for. And this Osimhen thing has been dragging for a while now. So I think like it's been inevitable that he's going to leave. Even when he signed the contract, it was with the idea that he's going to leave.
Yeah,
this
so it was a gentleman. Yeah, they signed a gentleman's agreement.
So even if he stays this summer, he's going to leave next summer. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So you'd rather like get rid of him. I'm not going to say get rid of him, because he's a player that I think if he stays healthy under Conte is going to reach the levels that he reached when like 25, 30, 35 goals. You know what I'm trying to say? But it's just something that's dragging now, and you rather just get. And also our summer transfer window relies on him leaving, so we have money to spend elsewhere.
Okay, back to what Mo asked me about Osimhen, because I didn't get to say what I was going to say. I don't think he's worth that price tag. I don't think he's worth that price tag. But in a market where PSG haven't helped themselves either, because they spent 72 million on Kolo Muani, they spent 60 million on Ramos in the same window, and now they're turning around and they're saying, oh, 120 is too much for Victor Osimhen. That's where we kind of draw the line. Chelsea and Arsenal, I don't think a profile like Victor Osimhen is for Arsenal personally. The kind of striker that I think Arsenal should get is more like an Ivan Toney. Victor Osimhen, for me, why are you making that face?
I mean, if you were going to say Alexander Isak, I hear you. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Alexander Isak is a significant.
There's different profiles of strikers within football. You're the guy that just said that Lukaku is a prolific striker, but in that same sentence, you got onto me because I said Victor Osimhen.
Okay, hold on,
Salah.
Before we go on, can you Mina? Hold on, Salah. Mina, can you explain to us why you say Ivan Toney?
I think
what distinguish Ivan Toney above
for the
Osimhen
style of football?
Makes you say that?
No. I'm not saying Ivan Toney is better than Victor Osimhen. If you heard
no.
I
In
said
what
Ivan
aspect
Toney,
of football do you think it suits Arsenal more?
I said Ivan Toney is more suited for what Arsenal have. A striker that can link up play. Players that run in behind, Gabriel Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, that can get in behind as well. These are players that can get advanced with a striker like Ivan Toney leading that front line. Victor Osimhen, no disrespect, I think he's a great striker. I'm not gonna lie. I think he should have left the summer that Napoli won the league. And when they put that 130 million release clause, that was more for Napoli to save themselves financially, not with the intention of trying to help the player go to a better club, etc., etc. I don't know how Napoli fans feel, but I'm sure Salad, the Napoli fan, will be lovely enough to enlighten us. But to say that Lukaku is a prolific striker and you are better off to have him
I'm not saying
at lower wage. No, but that's what you just said. That's literally how. Because when I said Victor Osimhen is not worth that price, you jumped at me, and then in that same price, you said, "I want the saga to end. He needs to go. He needs to go so that we can bring in Lukaku."
I'm saying Lukaku is the one that we've been linked with, and I'm also saying the reason that Lukaku makes sense is because for that price, you are not going to get a striker. We're going to get Lukaku for about 30 million, 25 million, 30 million pounds. You're not going to get a striker even half as good as Lukaku for that, and then that also opens the market for you to get. To upgrade on your midfield, to upgrade on the right wing, to upgrade on your defense. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I'm saying in terms of financially, because Napoli aren't the most powerful club financially. So if we can get someone for a significantly less price and then half the wages, it makes sense. And Lukaku is a prolific striker. I don't understand why people in the comments are saying he's not. Lukaku's a top 20 Premier League goal scorer of all time, and he's barely even been there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like Lukaku's banged wherever he's been. Even last year, Lukaku scored 20 plus goals. Like you can say what you want about Lukaku, but Lukaku scored goals wherever he's went. And under Conte 3 years ago, Mo will tell you Lukaku was phenomenal under Conte. And again, Victor Osimhen is for the dream this year would be Victor Osimhen staying. And if Victor Osimhen stays, we probably, I think we're competing with Inter for the league anyway. But I think that puts us even closer to winning the league if Osimhen stays, in my opinion. But with Lukaku, maybe not so much. But the replacements, you're not going to replace Osimhen. There's very few strikers. There's no strikers in the world that are available. You're going to replace Osimhen with. But Lukaku for 25 million pounds, bro, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Can I ask you a question then, Salad? Because why would you, if you're saying with Osimhen you can go toe to toe with Inter to win the league, why are you pushing him to leave anyway, and have Lukaku come in if no one's going to pay his release clause?
No, but I'm saying this. Bro, I tweeted this multiple, and I tweeted this even before. I was like, what's going to happen is Osimhen is probably going to stay this summer, and we're going to sell him for half the price next year. For profit purposes, you want him to leave this year. And again, Napoli aren't the biggest club in the world, so we need every penny we can get. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It was the same with Koulibaly, my favorite player ever. Like, obviously, I never wanted Koulibaly to leave, but if he was going to leave, you would have wanted him to leave a year before, rather than holding on to him and getting half the price for him.
It's a very. I just wanted to. I want to go back to the Premier League talk about the Arsenal. It's very strange that people keep saying we need. No, Arsenal don't need an Osimhen, and Arsenal don't need an Osimhen. They need an Ivan Toney. Well, Man City didn't need Haaland, but they got a number 9. And at the end, Pep Guardiola was able to make everything work for this guy to get 50 plus goals. And at the end, they won the treble with him. Osimhen is one of the best strikers around. Hands down. By the way, people think that Osimhen last season didn't have a good season. Osimhen still last season was good. Osimhen had double digits in every single season over the past 5 years, by the way. Not a lot of strikers in the world do that. Not a lot of strikers do that in the world.
Mo, only 2 players in the history of Serie A have a better minutes to goal ratio than Osimhen, and that's Cristiano Ronaldo and Ronaldo Nazario. Every time Osimhen is a goal threat every single time he's played. The biggest issue with Osimhen has been ability to stay on the field, but when Osimhen has played, Osimhen has scored.
Yeah,
Again, look,
it's crazy how people think. Actually, people think he's not a good footballer. By the way,
crazy, bro.
Osimhen can dribble, can pass, can run with the ball. It's crazy.
Ronaldo Nazario and Cristiano Ronaldo are the only 2 players ever in Serie A who have had the best strikers ever. By the way, to have a better.
But to go back to this, it's like Arsenal. People want to say that Arsenal need a striker like Ivan Toney to link up the play for Saka, Martinelli, and everything. To have someone like Osimhen with the squad they have, if they get a Mikel Merino and they have Declan Rice and they have Thomas Partey and they have Odegaard and they have Saka, Osimhen might guarantee them 25 plus goals at least. That by itself adds a lot to the team, and he doesn't take away from others. Because in the same season, by the way, when he was prolific in front of the goal, Kvaratskhelia was great.
Crazy season.
On the right side, Politano was good at that season. Zielinski was good behind him. The fact that people think that Ivan Toney is an Erling Haaland. Ivan Toney isn't just Erling Haaland. Isn't just a guy that puts the ball in the back of the net. I think Victor Osimhen is someone who can actually do the other parts of the game. Maybe he doesn't excel in them, but I think if Arsenal get this guy and they have a Kai Havertz, they can alternate, they can play together if they need to. And I think that adds a weapon that Arsenal don't have at all, by the way.
So, I mean, a couple of things, first of all, right? It's quite funny because I'm watching the chat as well and seeing people's reaction to the Osimhen conversation. And it just shows how people are victim to circumstances and how in a year, what people's perception of a player can change so drastically. Because I remember when Napoli won the Serie A, everyone was saying we need Osimhen. Fast forward a year now, everyone is saying he's trash, he's overrated, and so on and so forth. It's like, actually, were you saying that the year before, or are you just saying that because actually the wind is blowing and maybe you watch AFCON and didn't play the best? Now, as a Nigerian fan, I have always thought that Osimhen is a good player. Maybe because I've held sort of other Nigerian strikers to a certain esteem that I've never looked at him as that kind of player, right? And maybe it's just me having my sort of biases to the old players, right? But I've never thought Osimhen he wasn't a Kanu for me. He wasn't a Amokachi, but those are players I grew up with. So let's just put that. That's just bias, on one side. Now Osimhen to Arsenal is an interesting one because, in a weird way, I feel like the type of striker Arsenal or Arteta wants, and again, I'm not Arteta, so I don't really know. I'm just sort of guessing based on the people who signed, are players who are more about linking up play, and most of the danger comes from the wingers and the central midfielders. So the striker itself doesn't have to be the most prolific. Hence why he bought Gabriel Jesus with a very limited goal return, and then brought in Kai Havertz, who's also got a very limited goal return, even though he played him in midfield. And Mo's talked all throughout last year about how that was a mistake, but when he put him up front, it was still all about linking play. Now, the question will be, if he brings in, and if Arsenal buy Osimhen, is Osimhen the kind of player who is willing to not play off the last shoulder of the player, of the defenders, and I break the structure of the way Arsenal play? Or is Arteta going to say fundamentally this season, I'm going to change the way I play from the sort of football I played the last 2 years to one that's looking more at a direct threat, similar to what Pep did with Haaland, right? He totally changed the system from that sort of intricate play between, even though they had like Aguero was still dropping deep and connecting play, to actually now Haaland is the main focal point and try to get him as early as possible. And when that wasn't working, you sort of struggles Haaland went with. That's why I don't know if Arteta is sort of thinking that, and maybe preseason will start to show us if that's the case. Because also, just to add to this, anytime we've had a traditional striker, so you take, I know, not the best example, but you take someone like Nketiah, who's more of a natural striker than, let's say, like a Jesus, Arsenal's play seems disjointed. And maybe, yeah, that is the quality of the player, but I also feel like a pure number 9 hasn't sort of been the MO of Arteta so far.
So no one is going to buy Osimhen then. I promise you, no one is going to buy Osimhen.
I think Osimhen elevates Saka of all players. You know what I'm trying to say? I feel like Saka's creativity, Saka will take a more creative role for a player like Victor Osimhen, and it won't take away from his goals because, as Mo said, Napoli's wingers, even attacking midfielders, scored a lot of goals and contributed a lot with Victor Osimhen. People, I'm not going to say misprofile because that is a lot of his game is running in behind, but he does drop in deep a lot and he does link up the play quite a bit. And we saw it in the AFCON even more when Nigeria's midfield was absolutely non-existent. Victor Osimhen was dropping very, 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 very deep. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like when your best midfielder was Iwobi, for example, and he was dropping in very, very deep. So he could
Iwobi, please.
I
respect
him, but when he's your best midfielder, there's an issue. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
So that brings me to the question before we move on from Arsenal. And just let me do this couple of super chats. Mookie here, thank you, Mookie. Shout out to the Alpha in the live stream, Mina.
I told you she gets all the love. All
Ashraf
the love.
Is saying deep down, Mina is an Arsenal fan. Come to the light and see the reason. Come on, you Gunners.
Mina, you get all the love, man. Seriously, every stream you go to, you just get the love. Amazing.
But the question is there room for error for Arsenal this season? Is there room for error for Arteta in this Arsenal team?
I don't think
and they go on another experiment.
Nah, the thing is, Arsenal right now.
I'm not saying an ultimatum, but is this something that they need to get right because of the money? By the way, the money is another factor, Salah, because he himself, Arteta, just to put context in it, mentioned that we are in times when it's very hard to spend like before with the new wage thing, with the new PSR thing. He mentioned it in the interview before the preseason start. He said, we need to be worried a little bit about the market. It's not like last seasons. We need to spend the right way. So it might be tricky a little bit for him this season, especially if he gets it wrong again.
I think if they spend big on a striker like Osimhen, it has to go well because it's not a case like a few seasons ago where you can get a striker like Man City from getting a striker or right back doesn't go well, and then you get the next best right back the next year. You can't, like, it's not going to work that way. And I think rather than Osimhen not being worth the money, I think the risk element is why teams aren't doing it. Even Chelsea, for example, Chelsea that was spending money out the arse a couple seasons ago, spending 300 million on 2 midfielders, for example, you know, like Victor Osimhen for that price for 100 million was nothing last season and the season before. But I think the idea and the risk element of, okay, if we do this, we can't get it wrong because we have no room to maneuver. I think that's the biggest element for Victor Osimhen not going to teams. Like no team is spending money this transfer window. Like none. Like look at like literally no team. The only team in Italy that spent money is Napoli, and that's only because we bought a 40 million centre back. That's it. And we bought one player from Roma. Like the only reason we're linked with players because we're in a good financial position. No one in the Premier League has spent much money. Like no one is really spending money. No one can throw money at players.
Chelsea have about like 50 hero goals in the last like month.
Yeah, I know, but those are all like little Brazilian kids that they're spending 15, 12 million. You haven't had anything.
They're spending about 40. They're spending about 40 million on like all these teenagers, man. I said, listen,
like
salad.
Bro, if 3 days without a hero go for Chelsea, I feel worried, bro. I really feel worried.
Salah, I'm just saying, listen, right? You could change your name to Saladinho. I'll change my name to Olinino, and we can just sign for Chelsea. Because right now, I think if you have a Brazilian surname, you're getting a contract, but
I think the only team that's made. I'm not even gonna call it I mean, the only team that's made major moves has been Man United. The only team has made with Lenny Euro and Xerxes. That's it.
But
and also, Man United officially put in the strangest thing about this is that Man United are the only team in the Premier League. Is the only team that actually put bids in officially, like reported officially. They went to Bayern Munich and said, "Here is the money on the table. This official bid for Ugarte, for Branthwaite." Like Man United aren't joking about like, okay, we want to bid for this player. We aren't interested. FC, we aren't like inquiring. Man United don't inquire this transfer market. They're like they're ready with the checks. But anyway, forget. Go back to the Arteta thing.
I was going to say Villa have spent money, but Villa is a little bit different because they've sold significantly. Like they sold Diaby for about 50-60 million. Douglas Luiz, like they're selling a lot of. Like they've made a lot of money, so they're just reinvesting. Like no one's spent outside of Man United. No one's spending money from the bank. Essentially, everyone else is spending money that they've made. That makes sense. Yeah.
But I'll say coming back to Arteta and the pressure. Look, I look at this. The pressure's always been on Arteta, so I don't think he's going to feel even more pressure, right? And I think the thing is that as football fans, and I've always said this, our perception isn't the club's perception. Now, if you're sat down and you're Josh Kroenke and you hire a manager who was young and a rookie manager, and he takes you on a progression over and over again. I mean, Salad, you know about this with American football and the Rams. Like their perception on the manager in improvements, as long as it doesn't go all the way the season, will probably be like, actually, we want you to win, but we're not going to put it like, actually, you're on a chopping block, because I'm sorry, a 1-point swing last year in terms of games doesn't mean that all of a sudden that actually he has to be under like massive pressure. If he was 30 points behind Man City and was struggling to make top 4, that question will be there. I'll see it from the club in terms of putting him under pressure. As a fan, of course, there's going to be pressure. I always want Arsenal to win the league, right? Like I said, listen, when we had Mustafi and Socrates in defense, my heart believed we could win the league, even though my head was telling me that was not the case because those guys were scrubs, right? But my heart is there. So from a fan perspective, yes, there should always be pressure on the team to win the league. I think that's our job as fans. You know, we support the team, but we also put pressure on them. I just think that actually with Josh Kroenke and just knowing from the number of teams that the family owns that I actually support, I don't think that same sort of pressure will be there. And I think what's happening right now is that they probably will continue to back him with more money, because I think that he has a vision and they've bought into that vision basically.
Yeah, no, we've had this discussion before, Olu, like I think on this podcast specifically. I mean, I think in terms of fans, there'll be pressure, but I think in terms of the board, they're fully 100% behind Arteta, because they've seen what he can do. They've seen that he can at least compete. So they're going to put the onus on themselves to back him so they can get over the top. We've seen it with all of their sports teams. Their NBA team, the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Avalanche in NHL, what's it called? The LA Rams. That's the type of owners they are. They identify a young, talented coach and they run with it and they ride him hard until they win event, essentially. Like they did it with Sean McVay at the Rams. The first 2 years didn't go so well. They had a few good pieces, and then they traded for a top quarterback. Then they traded for Hall of Fame defensive pieces. So they're gonna do everything when they find a manager that they think is good enough. And that's just the ownership. Yeah. So if Inter continue to finish second, if Arsenal continue to finish second, maybe third, but competing until the very end, I think they're going to continue to back him.
Yeah, but is that right? Is that
right?
Exactly. Yes, I wanted to ask.
I'm actually curious. I'm actually curious to know if you lot feel like that's right.
I've said before, because I'm obviously a big Arteta fan. I've said before, right?
Bro, who are you not a fan of at this point? You're a fan of everyone in the Premier League. I can't keep up.
I'm a fan of managers, innit? And Mo will tell you, I've rated Arteta.
He hates players. He hates players.
Yeah, I'm anti-players, but managers, I'm always rooting for them. But with Arteta, I still think there's a lot of holes in the team, and I feel like when the owners have addressed all of the issues that Arsenal have from a squad perspective and he still doesn't perform, then you can start questioning the manager. But I still think
when? How long, bro? How long?
Yeah, but see,
Mo, did you just miss everything I've said? I said when they filled the holes in the squad, and then they have a complete squad, and then he doesn't win, then you start questioning him. However long it takes.
Realistically, they should have had a complete squad at the current moment. He was given the money to spend. He's the one who chose some guys.
Right,
but that's the point. Nobody had the perfect team. Even Pep Guardiola last season and the season before. I know that you can put in the names. Oh my God, he signed this name. He got this name. The guy had to continue the season sometimes with that box midfield that he created to fill in the holes. Last season, he struggled to find a partner with Rodri for half the season. The guy played Julian Alvarez in the midfield, trying it. And at the end, he found a solution for it. So, Arteta is the one, and I'm not here saying to sack Arteta or not sack Arteta, but he's the one who backed Smith Rowe. He's the one who signed Fabio Vieira. He's the one who chose Gabriel Jesus, chose Zinchenko, Kivior as well. He's the one who chose Kivior. He's the one who gave Reece Nelson a new contract. Reece Nelson's going to leave the club. Arteta chose with Edu to give him a new contract.
Let me ask Mina a question.
Same.
Let me ask Mina a question, because I think she asked a good question in terms of she wanted to know why. Okay, next season, who do you think are favourites to win the league?
I can't give you a lot of predictions until I see how the transfer window pans out. I can't do that unless you want me to go off of last season and probability.
Let me just change it. Who do you think? No, sorry, not forget win the league. Who do you think are the teams to challenge for the league next season?
Again, it depends on how the transfer window goes. Right now, I can't give. I don't think you could give me an honest answer right now and say who you think, because it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. No one's made moves in the transfer window.
I can give you who I think will challenge. Now it can change, but I can still give you some names. Now the reason I said this, okay, most people will probably say start of the season. We expect it'll be Arsenal and Man City to be challenging for the league with Liverpool there, but no one knows about Arne's slot yet. And maybe with some moves that Man United are making, that could be potentially the teams challenging. So the question I asked then is that if you've got a manager who you say is at the start of the season, you're saying that team is good enough to win the league based on the team that he's built, why would you then uproot that and then try to then change the whole environment? Because ultimately he's built a culture. Right, and you can say the culture isn't one yet, right? I'll put my hands up and say that's 100%, right? But he's built a culture that's obviously now won a whole bunch of games, right? He's built a team that most people will say is one of the maybe
amazing, fantastic,
top 3, top 4 teams in the league, right? Why would you then say, right, with all that investment you've done, the fact that he's changed the culture, the fact he's sort of built a vision, the team is molded around him, we're just going to uproot that? And I'm not talking about it from a fan perspective. I'm talking it from if you own the club. Why would you just uproot that and then say, I want to start again?
But no one said that. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical that is very plausible. Arsenal comes second next season.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pep Guardiola renews another year. And Arsenal comes second the year after.
You keep going. You keep going until you win that league. That's the thing. The thing is that I think too many times.
If you think that is how you, as a fan, you think the club should be, I'm not, by the way, we're not here discussing what the Kroenkes should do. You guys know more than me how the Kroenkes run the club. But we are not on YouTube to agree with what the Kroenkes do. We are here to say our opinion. How do we think club should be run? What do we think should happen? You know what I mean? We aren't here to say the Kroenkes do this and that.
What things that are probably not going to happen. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like the idea of a conversation is to discuss realistic scenarios and what probably can, you know what I'm trying to say. And when you ask who's probably going to win the league next year, it's either Man City or Arsenal. Like regardless of what any of these other teams do, and this is addressed to Mina, like regardless of what Liverpool do or Man United or Chelsea, there's 2 teams which are significantly better than everybody else currently. That is Man City and Arsenal, and then comes the rest. Like it's going to be one of those 2 teams. If you're
thing I'll say is with Arsenal, I understand the notion of changing culture. I think from that time after Arsene Wenger, then Unai Emery, that's a weird shift after you have a manager for so long and then you're trying to find the next United went through it for 4-5 managers before they eventually really invested in one in Erik Ten Hag. I understand that. Now I'm just asking you guys, and even people in the chat who are Arsenal fans as well, at what point do you say you can't keep finishing second? Like next season, say it's City and Arsenal again in a title race, but this time
Yeah.
it goes down to goal difference, and City with
But
the
you-
league. Like
So, but
this is
see-
just hypothetical. This is just a
course.
hypothetical, right? Because each time you're closing the gap against City, right? The first you lost the league to I can't remember how many points. Then you lost it to what, a point, and then it's on goal difference, and you've lost the league. At
Yeah,
what
so-
point do you think, okay, well, the managers had the opportunity to spend, brought a 100 million midfielder, in Declan Rice, brought in his own reinforcements in players that he used to work with the likes of Jesus, etc. At what point do you start to think, okay, what is it that's not working that we keep falling short at the last hurdle? And that's the question that I have for Arsenal fans, because I genuinely would like to know.
I agree with you. It's a very good question. I see the logic in that. I think the problem with that question as well is that essentially, well, first of all, no one has got a right to win the league. Even Man City don't have a right to win the league. Sorry, right? Like you have to earn that, and ultimately, you earn that by playing on the pitch 38 games of the season, right? So that's why, like, when people say, "Oh, if he doesn't win," I'm like, those are hypotheticals. I cannot predict that, right? But you're right. At some point, the buck will stop with him, right? He's the one. He's building the team in his image, and if he continues to fail, eventually, that will reflect on him. The thing, though, is that we have to also look at success. And maybe I'm looking from a business standpoint, and that's maybe my work is coming into this. But you have to look at success sometimes, not just at the goal, but what gets you to that goal as well. And I think that in terms of getting Arsenal from, again, I've said this a few times. Arsenal were a team where our captain was doing balloons and was going swag in our dressing room, right? To now, what you will say is a professional team that actually, yes, you might get one or two scandals out there, but actually, most teams would say actually the structure and the way like the sort of environment is managed, people want to be closer to that. That has been a success. Now, what he has to do, which I agree to your point, Mina, is he has to deliver trophies off the back of that. And that is what he's going to be held to. I'm just saying that from what I understand from the Kronkers, and I'm just saying this last time. The Rams had a coach called Jeff Fisher who used to finish 8-8, and they kept him for so long. I was pulling my hairs out. But this is the way they run, and this is why
that's not how football works.
I know.
But is it fair to compare NFL to football?
No, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair.
In the NFL, you're only competing to get to the Super Bowl. In football, you're competing 3-4 trophies.
The turnover in head coaches in the NFL is significantly faster and more common in the NFL than it is in football. What's the Premier League anyway?
My brother, this is not the NFL. This is football.
But at the same time, I was gonna say in football, I feel like the pressure of the fans is
higher.
Is a lot higher, and the pressure on like social media and punditry, especially in the Premier League, makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So I guess
the coverage is not the same. Hybrid Ultra here is saying money spent argument is silly one. In Mikel Arteta's tenure, City, United, Spurs, Chelsea have all spent more than him. Expenditure, it's a flawed argument used. Let me just respond to you, Hybrid Ultra, with one thing. In your argument, you mentioned one name, right? And 4 clubs. Apart from Pep Guardiola, no one as a manager spent more than him as a single manager. And we aren't even saying about him versus Pep Guardiola. He is the one who's responsible with the hierarchy to build the team. 6 years rebuilding the team is good enough. He made a brilliant team. They challenged twice. You cannot come second 3-4 times in a row. You just can't. If you consider yourself a big club, no matter what the circumstances are, at the end, you need to win it. And by the way, I'm really thinking about my club as well. If Inter had any manager in the history and we came second 3 times, the manager is sacked. That goes for AC Milan. That goes for Juventus. That goes for everyone around in the world. If you consider it, especially with the good team that Arsenal is. Arsenal aren't a team, with all due respect. Arsenal aren't. If Aston Villa comes second 3 times in a row, it's all right. If Spurs, by the way, stay with the same manager, come second 3 times in a row, it might be okay. For Arsenal, for Manchester United, for whoever, coming second 3 times after building a team that is that good isn't enough.
more context. You're forgetting this is a team for 21 years now, haven't won the Premier League. They weren't even competing on a regular basis before Arteta. Now this is they've only been competing for 2 years, by the way. This is only the second year they've competed. Like,
So I'll say,
but that's not the
no,
that's not the point, Habibi. I swear to God, people misunderstand this. This is not Leeds United. This is Arsenal Football Club. Leeds United can say that. You are
all the time. What's your solution? What do you do? So
I'm gonna tell you the difference. If you want me to Salah, if you want me to treat Arsenal like Leeds, I will. That is little bro in Arsenal. That's literally saying, Arsenal, know your place. Come in second after 20 years without winning title is good enough. You gotta be content and celebrate. Come in second 3 years in a row. Be content. That's good enough for you. That is literally the message we are sending to Arsenal fans. We are saying celebrate building a good team. That's the message that I'm hearing now. Celebrate Arteta building a great team and a good team that is able to compete with the machine that is Manchester City, and you are achieving something because you went from not challenging for 20 years, not winning the title, to be that close of winning the title. That's what I'm hearing. That's the message, though.
No, that's not the message. The message, again, this is where I'm saying that people need to be able to understand. And I've seen some people saying that, I'm talking about, I'm comparing to NFL. And I'm like, no, I'm talking about the owners, not the NFL. Forget the NFL. I'm just giving you context of why I know this ownership, because I support the same team they own in the NFL. But again, when it comes to Arsenal, and I always say I'm old enough to remember this. We are not a team who have gone back to back in winning championships since like the 30s. Like, so this idea of like, we finished second, right? Is like during our heyday on the Wenger, we were first, then second, then first, then second, then second, then first. Like, that was us. We yo-yo between that. Not we didn't have the dominance Man United have. So like this sort of idea of like little bro in us doesn't apply to us. We are Arsenal. Like, treat us as Arsenal, not like Leeds. Leeds are a different situation to us. We are always a team that are challenging for the league, right? And at one point, we became good enough to win the league. Now, what I want from Arteta is move from challenging to becoming good enough to win the league. That is my expectation, right? I'm just saying that. All I'm saying is that also, at the same time, people shouldn't make knee-jerk reactions in the same way we do on Twitter by just saying, fire someone. It's like basically having a CEO who's making you millions of pounds and saying, I'm just going to fire him because I'm not making 10 million extra. Last year was a one-game swing.
I don't think you can compare it to a business model like that.
Mina, put in that exact. I'm sorry, Mina. This is Mina. By the way, Marco, Mina answered this before he even put this hypothetical. Mo, if Arsenal get 2 more wins, 2 more losses compared to last season, still finish behind City by 1 point, get to the Champions League semis, you cannot sack Arteta. Mina said, okay. And then the season after, you get goal difference. You finish goal difference behind Manchester City. And then the season after, you finish just 1 point behind Manchester City. And you push them all the way. And you win both games, home and away against Man City. But you still lose the title. There has to be a threshold, people. There has to be. At some point, you'll have to sit with yourself and say, we have to have threshold here.
I agree. No, I agree.
By the way, I am not saying that Arsenal won't win the league. I think Arsenal next season will be favorites to win the league. By the way, no matter what happens, I actually believe that. And I believe Arsenal now are closer. And I believe that Arsenal were the best team in the league last season, by the way. I genuinely believe that. And I believe that Man City won it for whatever reason I said on other streams, small margins and stuff like that. But listen, we'll see how the window go, as Mina said. I want to move on to the expectations of Erik Ten Hag. And thank you guys for super chats about Arsenal. But now, guys, we have over 400 people here. We really can get to 300 likes. In panel shows, you guys slack big times for some reason, as you don't like the panel. When I do solo shows, we get like 500, 400 likes live. So we need the likes to push the channel to the next viewer. We're on the way to 25K. So hit that like button, people. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Come on, people. Love for the love. And also, Mina's channel is in the description as well.
But also, if Mina is your favorite, then hit those likes as well, man.
Guys, otherwise I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back here on the channel. Khalas, I'm done after this.
Exactly.
Guys, 300 likes minimum, so Mina can come back to the channel. 300
exactly.
Likes. Listen, going on to the... Okay, I'm going to start this segment with this say that Ahmed said. Okay? Ahmed has some crazy takes. But I thought that actually that was absolutely an amazing take, right? At that time, very sensible. He said, there is difference in Man United between the realistic expectations and what actually should be the expectations. For a manager that came third and had a drop last season, based on the first season, Manchester United, with the money that they spend, should actually go forward. You should actually get top 4 comfortably because Ten Hag has been there for 3 years and because you came third and you were the second best team at home ground and you had a bad away form. And then last season, you fell off for Casemiro's injuries, for Lisandro's, blah, blah, blah. He said that the problem is that the real expectations aren't actually this. People are saying if he gets 5th, if he gets top 4, fair enough. That's the expectations. If he gets 5th, it's a step forward. But that shouldn't be the expectations realistically after coming third in your first season and spending that much money and the club backing you that much. Do you agree with this, Minaro?
It's interesting because I think United should never be a top 4 team. Like that's never been United, but of recent in the last decade, it's kind of been the case. I agree with that sentiment in a way. Sorry, that it's. I think Eric Ten Hag's time at United is going to fluctuate, where it's going to be like third first year, finishing in the 7th to 8th second year. Third year, it's difficult. I really think it's difficult to predict. The expectation, I can tell you now, my expectation is United to finish in top 4. But you look around how other teams might be during, the transfer window, etc. You got Aston Villa who are having a good window, not just because they've lost players, but also because they're playing in Champions League next year. They need to booster their squad. You've got City, you've got Arsenal, you've got Spurs who haven't really made many moves yet. Arsenal who haven't made many moves yet, but I think they're going to sign Calafiori too. I think the most important thing is how United improve this summer. The players that they bring in, how they play throughout the season. And remember, I think it's similar to, and again, any United fans in the chat, let me know if you lot agree. I think a lot of people will be looking at how United do domestically as well as in Europa as well. I think that's what a lot of people will be looking at, not just in the Premier League. Eric Ten Hag has said it himself live on television, guys. Manchester United are still 2-3 seasons away from competing for the league. He said it. He literally said it last season, towards the end of last season. He said United are still 2-3 seasons away. Now, in an ideal world, when a manager is entering his 3rd year of his season of his contract, you should think that should be the point of where he starts to compete for the league, right? But then you take into consideration everything. And this is not me making excuses or anything, but you take into consideration, the new ownership coming in, change in structure, new assistant coaches coming in, players being offloaded, which should have happened a long, long time ago, players coming in, a new, I would say, tactical model that Jason Wilcox is going to build or is building or has already implemented at Manchester United. I think there's a lot of change that's happened at the club. I've seen fans even suggesting that they're going to treat this as Eric Ten Hag's first season because taking everything into consideration, new ownership, new structure in place, etc. It's like a first year all over again. But for me, United should be competing for top 4. Like it's as simple as that. If United really do bring in Ugarte or Fofana or even 2 midfielders, and then they bring in another centre back, and they've brought in Joshua Zirkzee, and they've brought in Lenny Yoro, and they bring in a fullback, and they've got the quality and the depth that they need, they have to compete for top 4. Because for me, it's Eric Ten Hag's 3rd year. I don't believe in the notion that it's his 2nd year because last year didn't happen, or it's his 1st year because it's new structure. For me, it's his 3rd year out of 4. He has to now kind of take United on that trajectory, which Arsenal fans like, improvement.
Can I be a hypocrite? Can I be a hypocrite? See, when I'm a hypocrite, I'll tell you guys I'm a hypocrite. I'm not gonna be shameless. Like, Man United should never, and this is again growing up with the Man United that I saw that used to annoy me every time you would turn into Old Trafford. And like I said last time, you see the guys with the turbans behind Sir Alex Ferguson. That Man United with 75,000 people in the theatre of nightmares should never, ever, ever be settling for top 4. Like, and that mentality should not be there. Like, it should always be going for the league. And I say this, and maybe some Arsenal fans will not like me saying this. The Premier League is a better product when there's a good Man United team. Like, it just is. The the most popular team in England. The reason why people tune into the Premier League, a good Man United team is a good product for the Premier League. So what happened last year, why it's funny for everyone's, I think like maybe I'm just yearning for back at those days when it was just going back and forth between Arsenal and Man United, and obviously City and now the new kids in the block. But look, the Ten Hag expectations, I think, needs to be high, like no matter what. Change of ownership doesn't matter. Change of players doesn't matter. They always have.
Are you saying what title? Are you saying they should be competing for the title? Yeah.
Look, aim for the stars, reach for the moon. That should be the mentality for, especially when we're talking about the elite clubs in the Premier League. Like that's what I'm holding.
Again, bro, it's about context because Man United are historically top 2 greatest football club, biggest football club, but they haven't been playing to that standard for the better part of a decade. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So for them, for you to say, it's Man United, they should compete for the title every year. At this present moment in time, it's not realistic. Does that make sense?
I agree. I agree.
By the way, that is based on only. By the way, that all take is based on just 20 years, 92 to 2012. Done. Over. Before that, they were 8th, 11th. They dropped to Division 2. They won it. They came up. And before that, before 92, the last title they won was 66, if I'm not mistaken. So you're basing that. Would you say the same about Chelsea, though?
I said the Premier League, not the First Division. See, my words were.
Okay, would you say that about Chelsea, though? And Chelsea won 2 Champions Leagues, won 60 titles. To be fair,
in the last 20 years, Chelsea have been considered a team that is competing for the Premier League on a consistent basis. And even now, this is a drop off for Chelsea. Like hearing this top 4 thing, but again, you have to put context into it. The last 3 or 4 years, 4 or 5 years, Chelsea have been nowhere near what we have come to expect.
Change
from
of
Chelsea
ownership. Yeah,
exactly. And it's the same with Man United. Like this is their first year under the new ownership. I would say my expectations for Man United and Ten Hag this season are not to just finish top 4 or to compete for top 4, to be comfortably in the top 4 places from the start of the season to the end of the season. Like for it never to be in doubt whether they're finishing in top 4 or not. And then to make
expectations or predictions?
No, predictions is different. I mean, my predictions for Man United, I've always got like high predictions for Man United because it's a team that Amina's gonna laugh at me, but a team that I like a lot, with a lot of players that I like, with players that I like a lot. But I think the expectations for, especially as we've like skateboarding onto what we said at the beginning of this, that Man United are the only team that have really enhanced their team, like that have spent money.
The transfer window's not over. Can I just say that?
Of course, but the thing is, Man United haven't even there's no signs of Man United stopping. Like Man United are going to probably get another like a solid midfielder, whether it's Ugarte or Zubimendi or someone of that quality. You're probably going to get a fullback. Like Man United aren't done. Like if you sell Sancho, you're probably going to bring in another winner or like another winger. Like the transfer window's not done for United. I feel like last year I made a lot of excuses for Ten Hag, like Lissandro, Luke Shaw. They play a big part. Like Mason Mount, that he was bought, he didn't play much. I think this year for United, with the strength and depth that they're probably going to have, I think Man United should be comfortably in the top 4 this year. Comfortably in the Champions League places this year.
Just based on the assumptions of the players that United are linked to.
No, I mean,
the expectations of them signing. Because you said if United sell Sancho, they're going to bring in another winger. I don't think they will. I think
Ahmad's going to have a more enhanced role this year. I'm just saying in general, I think United, they probably won't have as many injuries this year. They're going to bring in 1 or 2 players. If all of these things happen, you expect Man United to finish comfortably in the top 4 next season.
Oh, Aston Villa have a better team than them. They have a better manager than Ten Hag.
I think Aston Villa.
Spurs have a better manager than Ten Hag based on last season.
When I ask you for your opinion, I'll take it. I'm talking about my expectations of Man United. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I'll ask, like, congratulations, that's your opinion. You know what I'm trying to say? But I'm talking about my expectations. With all due respect.
No, hold on. Your expectations. So let me debate that with you. Then hold on. Let me debate that. No. Let me debate. Do you think? No. But your expectations has to be. No. Hold on. Your expectations need to be based on an opinion about a manager better than a manager, a team better than a team. If you sit here and tell me that I think that Man United team is better than Aston Villa, and Man United manager is better than Aston Villa's, and Man United team is better than Chelsea's, Man United team is better than, for example, Spurs, Newcastle, and the manager, That's how we make expectations. Expectations is not based on the names.
Just 24 hours ago, I was on Dan Potts and we were talking about Aston Villa.
Mhm.
And I think after Arsenal and Man City, Aston Villa are the next best team. I didn't say to
Okay.
finish third.
What about
I said
Liverpool?
I think Man United. I think Man United are in a better position than Liverpool, in my opinion.
Okay. Let's get that straight, because I want the people in the chat to know, when you say I have expectations the Man United to finish comfortably, I want to know which teams you think Man United with the current team, with the targets, Ugarte, Xerxes there, Euros there, is better than. So you think they're better than Liverpool? Do you think they're better than Spurs?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Newcastle?
Yes, sir. Newcastle's not
And
even in my
Chelsea?
equation. For me, yeah, definitely. Chelsea, definitely.
Okay.
Tottenham also
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
And the only one that I probably am wrong about, and I'm probably putting a bias in, is Liverpool. Right? I think Liverpool, Man United, but I think Man United's expectations, and again, not a prediction, two different things. Expectation and prediction are two different things. My expectation of Manchester United is that they finish in the top 4 comfortably.
So also, just to add to this, right now, start of last season, I actually thought Man United would challenge for the league. I thought it, in terms of, because I thought Liverpool's.
Me too.
I thought Liverpool had changed the midfield, like 3 new midfielders, and that's never been done before. Like in terms of changing your midfield totally and then challenge for league straight away. So the drop off for Man United from what I thought they would be to what they end up being was absolutely crazy. But I'll say this about Ten Hag: the first season when you didn't deal with Cristiano Ronaldo, in terms of Ronaldo disrespected him, and he just sort of brushed it off. And this is before, obviously, he did the interview with Piers Morgan. I think it was actually in pre-season. That was the first instance I looked and thought, actually, maybe this guy doesn't know how to control.
What did Ronaldo do in pre-season?
It was, I think,
when he didn't report for pre-season.
No.
His family situation.
No. It was Ronaldo. It was Ronaldo. Sorry, he was giving instructions to Ronaldo, and Ronaldo sort of looked at him like, "Why are you talking to me like that?" And I just remember seeing it. I just thought, this is weird. Like, you don't. The man, like, it felt like Ronaldo was saying he needs to the manager needs to respect him more than he needs to respect the manager. And that for me was like, I looked and I thought, okay, that's a bit strange. And then everything that happened during the season, right? And what that made me feel, and the problems that Man United had last season in terms of the Jadon Sancho issue, and I'm sure there's probably more stuff, like there's the Varane issue where Varane was on the bench all of a sudden and it felt like he was being ostracized and so on and so forth. I've got a feeling that Ten Hag has got a person management issue. I don't know if he knows how to manage people.
Yeah,
right?
but people they took that away from him. So it is what Ashworth and these guys are gonna do. If there is a problem, that's the new structure. Is they're gonna be the guys stepping in to solve the problems. It's not gonna be Ten Hag.
I'm just confused of how that correlates to the argument.
So the reason why I say correlates arguments to this, right? In terms of football players are human beings in the end, right? They go on a training pitch, and even though you've got Dan Ashworth come in and so on and so forth, and Barada and so on and so forth, those are not the guys who, on a day-to-day basis, are going to hear from the manager. The manager himself is the person who's going to talk to them. If they have issues with that person and they don't respect that person, then they're not going to play the full potential, right? Like one thing Alex Ferguson was very good at was getting players to play for him. Ten Hag didn't seem to have that last season. Now, the expectations this year, like in terms of what that means, is he has to fundamentally change how he treats his players, and they have to be all bought into what he does. You can have the best structure in the world on top of him. If he's the one in the change room and they don't respect him and they're not listening to what he's telling them to do, Man United will still have a problem. But in terms of expectations, as a Man United fan, in terms of the signings you're seeing, obviously the structure seems exciting for you guys. I think all that is sort of, I've said to Mo before that when you hear so much about executives in a club being talked about by fans, there's a massive issue. The best clubs in the world.
Why is that an issue?
Because the best clubs in the world, you never hear about their CEO, their CFO,
Real Madrid fans talk about Perez all the time.
Perez, exactly.
They praise him for what he does.
But that's it. The figurehead, one person. We don't know who their head of recruitment is. We don't know who their technical directors are. We don't know nothing about that. We just know Perez.
I'm sure if you followed La Liga and you followed Real Madrid, you would know. Now, I think with Manchester United, they haven't had it. It's like saying, I ain't had a roof over my head for the last 10 years. And when I get a roof, I can't tell people, guys, the rain ain't leaking through anymore. It doesn't make any sense. Manchester United haven't had a technical director. They ain't had a sporting director. They've had a head of recruitment that was not sufficient at his role. They had Murto, Arnold, who are clearly not cut for the job. Why? Because they were promotion boys. They were people who were at Manchester United for a long part of their career that managed to climb up. But hold on. Manchester United have now had a change in, I'm going to say change in ownership, minority ownership. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has had to sell this to fans. You're talking about, players having to buy into the manager system. Fans have had to buy into Sir Jim Ratcliffe and what Ineos are selling to them, right?
You're proving my point.
I don't know how I'm proving your point if I'm not finishing my point.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
But Sir Jim Ratcliffe has had to sell this to fans. Why? By putting the right people in the right places. I don't think fans have a right to discredit Man United fans on how to feel about that, because United fans haven't had that. They haven't had a CEO who is proven in his role in that position. They haven't had a sporting director who is proven in his role in that position. Man United fans are just appreciative of that and happy about that. And you can see it in the staunch difference of how United are moving in this transfer window in comparison to maybe the last one, or maybe even 2 years ago when Erik Ten Hag came in. They came in and they said, you're talking about players not respecting managers. They came in. The manager and the players shouldn't be having spats in public eye if the right structure is in place. They came in, they sorted that issue, and bam, Sancho played against Rangers, had a decent performance. Actually had a good performance, if I would say that. You can't say, oh, look at Man United fans, they're talking about the structure. Who does that?
But that's my point. But I understand that. It seems unfair when you hear it from the other side. But that's the point I'm trying to make. The fact that you guys have talked about it. So there's a fundamental issue that happened in Man United for years. That is the problem I'm talking about. And the fact that you guys talk more about this now means that actually, like, we haven't seen the end of what the structure will bring. We're just entering that right now. So that's the point I'm trying to say. There's still a flaw. Now, of course, the changes are happening. You should be excited about the changes. But the fact that you guys are talking more about that than actually what the results are.
I get all those points. So the question
people are talking about the results. They're talking about the transfer window. They're talking about the fact that they managed to nick Lenny Euro from Real Madrid. They're talking about the fact that Joshua Zirkzee, from agreement to medical and announcement, was 3-4 days. Historically, United took 2 weeks to make moves. People are talking about that.
I think Olo's point, Mina, is the question: do Man United fans have any faith in Ten Hag?
I think they do. I think some do. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm more of a let's see how the season goes. I'm gonna be completely honest. When it comes to Erik Ten Hag,
reason why, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when it comes to Erik Ten Hag, I'm more like, let's see how the season goes, and if this true kind of weight off his shoulders where he doesn't have to deal with all the other stuff that he was dealing with before. Let's see how that goes, because I think a lot of fans have brought into what he's building at Manchester United, and I think with a clear strategy of play coming from a technical director like Jason Wilcox, who again is proven in that role, a recruitment team that are bringing in the right players into the right roles. I think with all of that, you got to kind of wait until how the season starts and see how the first couple of games pan out. I think the most important thing is how Manchester United play.
Exactly. So I'll give you a real life example, and I'll use Arsenal. When we were going through our mud, right, we talked about whoever his name that went to AC Milan. I've totally forgotten his name now. We talked about Rahul Senelli. Like, we even started talking about Edu. The moment Arsenal started to actually produce, we started talking less and less about the backroom staff, and we started talking more about the manager. And so, to most points, which I'm trying to make, is that the fact the focus is still less on the manager. I mean, there is focus. I think maybe I'm incorrect there in saying that, but like the fact that still you guys, Man United seem to be talking still about the backroom staff means that actually there's still a fundamental issue, and you guys are still going through that sort of trying to believe into the changes that are happening. And believe me, I bet you next year, if Man United finish third, you guys won't be talking about Ineos anymore. You just be talking about what's happening on the pitch. That's sort of the point I'm trying to make, right?
But that's because we're in the now. We're in the time of all those changes happening. So of course that's what we're going to talk about. Do you want me to talk about what's going to happen in 5 years' time?
No, but
I'm not that so Raven. I can't see into the future.
But that's the point. That's why I said that. That's why I said that you were proving my point. And that's when I was talking about that when I know a club is in a mess, you hear more about the backroom stuff. It's because of that. I'm not saying you're not going to change. I'm just saying that you're still going through that process in the same way we had to go through that process. We sort of got there in the end.
To be honest with you, I'm just every time I look at Manchester United and I do any shows about the transfer market with Man United, I just picture Man United with one thing. If Erik Ten Hag was sacked and they have a Hansi Flick at the helm of coaching staff, we would be sitting here talking about Man United new era. Man United are gonna be back with the signings and everything. The main problem, what happened is they did all of this right. The negotiation with Xerxes were absolutely amazing. 3 days after the Euros, the guy finished, he's signed, and then he's off to his whatever. Lenioro, you outbid Real Madrid, overspent, not overspent. At the end, Lenioro is wearing a Manchester United jersey. Delict, you have a bid on the table. We said that, right? You're negotiating for Ugarte. You're talking to Rabiu, free agent. All of this would have been so positive, and people would be being really scared of Man United if Man United had a decent manager at the helm coaching these players. And that is the main problem now. Why people, because Man United fans, I don't know if you think rivals are bantering Man United because they're scared or because you still have Ten Hag.
But I can flip what you just said, Mo, and say if any
Right.
manager comes into Manchester United, you would be sitting here saying new era Manchester. It's not just if it's Hansi Flick. If it's anyone, because they're coming in.
I'm talking about a
clean
name.
slate.
I give an example
No.
of a big name. That's
Okay,
it.
but
That's my
it's because
point.
they're coming in with a clean slate, whereas obviously you're judging Eric Ten Hag over the
Yes.
2 years. But again, this is a question to you guys, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Eric Ten Hag won 2 trophies. 2 trophies in 2 years.
What's the
Right?
question?
No, he won 2 trophies in 2 years.
Yes.
Isn't that the trajectory of success?
No.
You don't place success on
Winning
silver.
the cup. No, not winning the cups.
Again,
Winning the
hold
cups.
on. But because this
I
Carabao
can
Cup,
put
FA Cup,
context. I can
trajectory.
put context into it.
you don't
I'm
have
gonna
to
tell you.
straight go in and win Premier League straight away.
No,
or
no,
go
no.
in and win
I'm telling
Champions
you,
League straight
winning
away.
the cups, when you're improving your team, is a good indication. Winning the cups, especially the domestic cups, not the Champions League, not the Europa League. That's Europe. That's different. Winning the cups while your trajectory on the pitch and in the position on the league is down, and your performance in Europe is down, is not an indication of success. And this is how
Agreed.
I treat even Inter or any other team. If Arsenal tomorrow go to 8th next season and win both domestic cups, they win backwards
Yeah,
in my
agreed.
eyes. Both
Agreed.
domestic cups. You would say, do you want trophies? Yes, but the aim, I know that people think the aim of the game is to win trophies. For me, for big clubs, and I'm talking about a gigantic club like Manchester United, the aim is to move forward, to compete for the league and win the Champions League. That is the final game. If you go 10 years now from Man United and you finish outside of the top 4 and you win both domestic cups for the next 10 years, I would think Man United are not the same Man United that was used to win the leagues. I
Yeah.
don't think Man United fans will be happy, Mina. So you
I know-
saying that we won the cups? Yes. But you win the cups when you're going forward, hands down, you're winning the domestic trophies. But
And
he
I know-
But that's
regressed
because
from
you're
3rd
judging it
to
on the.
8th.
That's because you're judging
Second
it on the
season,
20.
second
No,
season.
because you're judging it on the 20 years history of what Manchester United used to be. But if you look at
Yes.
what Manchester
Yes,
United
I
was in
am.
the last 10 years, the last decade, in the last decade, that is an improvement. Back, no manager. If I'm not wrong, are you saying that in the 10 years, the last 10 years
Has
since
any
Manchester
manager
United,
came to
hold on, since Man United
One-
last won a Premier League was Sir Alex Ferguson, right?
Yes.
Since then, we've had Moyes, we've had Van Gaal, we had Jose, we had Oli, we've had Ragnick as an interim. Now we had
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag to come in and win 2 trophies back to back. And it's also, can I say, an improvement, because everybody likes to downplay obviously the Carabao Cup, but that's obviously the small domestic cup out of the big ones,
Yeah.
right?
So
Then the FA Cup is the next one. If we're going off of the last 10 years, the last decade, because and this is the thing, and I think maybe rival fans have a problem of being realistic, because some fans, Man United fans, are realistic. We can live in the heydays of the 20 years of Manchester United's success under Sir Alex Ferguson. We can live in that, but Manchester United have not been good for the last 10 years. We've been a shit show, if we're being honest. We've been a shit show.
Hold
Our
on,
best,
Olo, just give me one
our
second.
best thing that the best thing Manchester United won was Europa League. Under
so that's the
Jose.
point.
Okay, give me
that
one
was the
second,
best.
Olo.
That-
Give me
that
one
was the
second,
best.
Olo.
No.
I'm gonna give you applause, as you said, for Arsenal fans. You gave a plausible situation for Arsenal fans. They finished second with goal difference. I'm gonna give you a plausible situation, right? Or a hypothetical. Man United finish 8th again with the 7 teams that maybe I think they're better than you, and you win the FA Cup this season. You
It's not
still
acceptable.
finish 8th.
It's not acceptable.
Thank you, but you
But
still
that's what
won
I'm
the trophy.
saying. The trajectory of success, improvement. The
Yeah,
thing
but-
that my argument
Mo,
with
I
Arsenal
think
fans
Mo-
to hold on, my argument to Olu
Can I give you better? What about you win 2 domestic cups this season, Mina, and you finish 8th? Carabao Cup and FA Cup together, the double. and you finish
together,
8th.
it's not an improvement off of what you won last year, and that's my whole argument.
Yeah, but
that's
that's
my
why
whole
he
argument.
regressed.
Carabao
So-
Cup to FA Cup this year. This is why I said Man United have to win Europa League, and they have to at least
happened?
be in
Yeah,
the
so
top 4.
so
They have to be in at least the top 4.
so I listen. I kind of get what you're saying. I do agree in a sense, right? The thing I'll say is this: is that cops can mask the deficiencies of your team and your squad, right? You look at Arsenal. Even though Arteta won a league, the FA League, Jesus Christ, I wish the FA Cup 4 years ago. When people talk about Arsenal, they go Arsenal don't win anything. When 4 years ago he won the FA Cup, people literally discount it when it comes for him, right? Whilst they prop it when it comes to other teams. So that's an example where, like the cup win just masked what was a problem, right? And also, I'll give another example. Wigan won the FA Cup but got relegated. Like, you wouldn't call that successful, would you? Even though they literally beat Man City in the final and won the FA Cup. That same season they got relegated. You'd go, actually, next season you're playing Europe, but you're also playing championship teams. The problem with domestic cups and the problem with domestic cups is just that sometimes it can mask the best indicator of performance in over a season is the league, because you're playing 38 games consistently and you have to keep the level at a certain level. If Ten Hag or any manager is not keeping at a certain level to be able to challenge for the league, there's a fundamental problem. You can win 5 games and win a cup, or 7 games and win a cup, whatever it is. 38 games tells you if that team is a good team or not. And ultimately, that's where United fans will
But what do you have to? This is what I don't understand. Is it shows you were a good team across a season, but what did that good get you?
Of course, again,
that's my question to everyone. At the end of the day, I'll take trophies. Shame me, guys. You guys can shame me if you lot see me in the street, you lot can shame me. I will take the trophies any single day, because that's what you remember. I'm not gonna remember finishing with when United lost the league on goal difference. I'm haunted by that. But I'm not gonna be like, just goal difference second.
But we're talking about progress. You're talking about trajectory, though.
Yeah.
Do you think from your first season? Sorry, earlier. Do you think from your first season to the second season, is that an upward trajectory or backwards trajectory?
Is it backwards if you won a trophy? That's my question to you, because you lot are judging it on the league.
I'm asking you.
But you're when you talk. No, hold on. No, hold on, because when you talk about it, you talk about the league, and I talk about it as an entirety of the 60-something games that Manchester United played.
Okay, see, you're flipping. Hold on. You're flipping the question to me. Don't flip it to me.
I'm not flipping it to you. I'm not flipping. I'm
asking you a simple question. As a team under Erik Ten Hag, did you move forward or backwards from your first season to second season overall? What do you think?
I'm trying. I want to say. I don't want to say something that will make people think, "What the fuck is this girl talking about?" Excuse my language.
I love it. Politician Mina is here.
It's a simple question. It's a very simple question. By the way, all the context that happened, Mina, everything that happened at the club with the change of ownership, very simple. You can say we moved forward, or we moved backward, or we stood still. What do you think happened at Man United?
Yeah. And also,
I'll say United moved backwards last season. I'm not gonna lie. I'll keep it 100. I'll say
because you won the bigger cup.
But again,
the injuries for Man United killed them last year, bro. If they had, bro, was it Mina? Was it you that said last time? I think they had 19 different centre back partnerships last year. Like, that's not sustainable, and no team's gonna win like that. And I don't think they're gonna be that unlucky again this year. I think Lisandro by himself healthy changes everything for Man United, and that's just my opinion. But
and also, sorry, to answer that question as well that Mo said, like, again, great example. Wenger, when Wenger was winning FA Cups, were finishing top 4, would you say he was regressing or progressing?
Well, Wenger was there for how many years?
Or would you say it was okay from
how many years
winning?
Was he there for?
I don't think it's comparable at all.
Ten Hag's been there for 2 years. Ten Hag's been there for 2 years, and you're comparing him to someone that's been at Arsenal for how long?
You're going way off the rails by comparing Ten Hag to Arsene Wenger, bro.
No. Forget the comparison. I'm not saying if Ten Hag's legacy is anything like Wenger's. I'm saying when we started to talk about Wenger winning the FA Cup or finishing top 4, we were saying he has regressed, right? From being and the same way you guys were top 3 and you won a trophy, Carabao Cup, to finishing 8th with a -1 goal difference and winning the FA Cup. That is regression.
Brother, Arsene Wenger won the Premier League with you guys. I know it's not the same.
I'm saying to you, Wenger regressed from winning the league to top 4
over the course of how many years? How many years? Over the course of how many years?
Forget the years. Forget this. I'm just saying, take away the years.
We can't forget it because it's important context. I think the number of years is important. You can't. It's your sample size. You're comparing a number of what? How many years to 2 years?
Yes,
I don't think it's comparable.
I'm saying you would say he regressed, but you would know this point. I'm saying you would say he regressed, right? So in the same way, I was saying that from top 3 to a trophy to finishing 8th. We're not talking about finishing 4th. You finished 8th with a -1 goal difference with shocking football. That is regression. Like the trophy just masks the fact that you had a shot. If you guys didn't win the FA Cup, if Man City had beat you 3-0, and I know that didn't happen, that's hypothetical, you would have come on the next day and said, he has got to go. So that's what I'm saying. The trophy itself is masking it. In the same way that we as Arsenal fans, when we win the FA Cups, that was masking the fact that Wenger was regressing, and we can see with our very own eyes, but we didn't want to accept it. Yeah. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Last point to this before we end the show, because this was supposed to be an hour, but again, the conversation was great. Manchester United, all these signings and everything, minimum to get top 4. I have to say that if that's what everyone agrees with. Eric Ten Hag.
How can you say that if you're saying they're 17 better than them? You just spent so long telling us how.
I'm going to tell you why, because I believe Eric Ten Hag should have been sacked. I believe Eric Ten Hag should have been sacked in the summer.
So 1 second. So do you think if another manager is the coach of this United team, they're better?
Anyone that is better. Eric Ten Hag has to prove me wrong, not the other way around.
No. I'm saying, are you saying that if a manager that you think is better than Ten Hag was the manager of Man United, do you think this squad is good enough to finish top 4?
Complete for top 4, I can't say for a fact until I see what Chelsea do, and because Maresca is an unknown, Arne Slot is an unknown. I don't know what Spurs are going to do. There is too many unknowns yet in this transfer market, especially Spurs. Like, I believe Spurs are 2 pieces away from actually being very, very good team and being maybe equal or better than Aston Villa. Enzo Maresca, for me, is a completely unknown guy. Enzo Maresca might turn into to be a bum, or he might turn to be, what's his name? Ange Postecoglou. Do you get my point? Like, Enzo Maresca can come in and, oh my God, he's good. So I don't know anything about him.
I just don't think Chelsea's team is just that good enough. I'm trying to say player-wise. I don't think quality is.
I still think Chelsea's team is better than Manchester United, but
I don't agree whatsoever. Not even.
Anyway, I still believe that Chelsea's
Bye,
team.
guys. It was nice being here.
I would pick.
Bye, everybody.
I would pick Chelsea's team over Manchester United today.
But it's because I've been told he has a Mo agenda. I've been told. I've been warned before I came on the channel. People tell me all the time, Mo's got an agenda against Man United.
They play the same formation. How many Chelsea players get into this Man United team? Very few. Very few. Not keeper, not left back, not Lisandro Martinez, not Diego Dallo, not Bruno Fernandes. I mean, yeah, Cole
right, but no, Reece James. Reece James
Reece James is never healthy.
He's been out injured for a whole season.
Even Gusto.
Dallo was one of the most improved players in the Premier League last year. Like, you're not going to get Bruno Fernandes. You're probably going to take Højlund and Zirkzee over Nicholas Jackson. On the left-hand side, I'm taking my mum over Mykhailo Mudryk. I'm trying to say, like, Chelsea's team's not good.
Yeah,
I don't understand where we're getting this from, that Chelsea's team's good, bro. Like, okay, fair enough. Moses Caicedo. Where are you getting this from, Mo? What players have you seen? Yeah, Cole Palmer. Who else have you seen from Chelsea that makes you so convinced that this team's good? Who is it? What else?
You know that the world is coming to an end because I agree with Salad. Me and Salad agree on something right now.
So, listen, I think Man United's midfield is currently constructed isn't that great. That's the weakness in Man United. Like Merino is a wonderful talent, but he gets left to do too much work. He gets left in Merino's island, basically.
Let me ask you a question. Are you taking 18-year-old Kobe Mainoo or 150 million euro Enzo Fernandez? Which one are you taking?
So first of all, I don't call him Enzo. I call him Fitbit because all he does is just cardio on the pitch. Right, so I would never pick Enzo.
Okay,
right?
Let's construct the 3-man midfield. It's going to be Caicedo, it's going to be Mainoo, and it's going to be Bruno Fernandes. Right? Let's construct the front. It's going to be Cole
I
Palmer.
don't like. I'm sorry. I know.
My okay.
You
Just
love
to,
Bruno,
just to,
but
just to
I'm
answer
sorry.
the question, to answer this, I think at the current moment, Man United have holes in the starting lineup. Okay,
Based
if they are
on
to
what?
field the
Brother?
team.
You're literally just
I'm
you're
telling
making
you.
that point and not backing
On
it.
on the right, I'm telling you, on the right winger, they have Anthony and they have Amad Diallo. I don't think either of them is good enough to play
That's
in the
fine.
top
You're
six
getting Cole
team.
Palmer. I've given you that already. Wakusi. Oh, sorry.
Hold
I've
on.
given you that one already.
In the front line, I didn't think Højlund has been good last season. I think Jackson has been better.
Okay, but then
On the
they've
left
got-
side, Marcus
bro.
Rashford had a horrific. Marcus Rashford had
Okay,
a
but they've
horrific
got
season.
Okay,
They
brother,
have
I don't care
Nkunku.
if Marcus Rashford has a horrific season. You're not taking Mikhailo Mudryk over Marcus Rashford. You're not taking.
And that's why I said.
Marcus
That's why I said Chelsea. That's why I said Man United already are ahead with two signings. One of them is an 18 years old that had one senior season in his career, which is Lenny Yoro. Chelsea have four center backs at the current moment. Chelsea have two right backs. One of them is injured, but the other one is very good. Chelsea have two left backs. Man United have a left back with half a leg and another guy that is a ghost, which is Malacia at the current moment. Man United want to sell Maguire. They want to sell Lindelof. So basically, at the current moment, Man United are going into the season based on their current plan with two center backs. If they keep Maguire, they're going with three center backs only. They still need to sign somebody else. They don't have a DM because Casemiro. You're selling Lindelof. You know that. You're selling Lindelof.
If the right bid comes in. If the right bid comes in. But you
10
said
million,
you
10 million
said
pounds.
you said Chelsea have a better squad.
Mo gender because
I actually think at the current moment, in the current moment, I would definitely pick Chelsea squad over Manchester United.
Wow, we've just
oh my god, without a shadow of a doubt. In my head.
We've just gone through a combined 11.
I am telling you, the team
comfortably. The only one that
can you tell me the midfield of Manchester United as a team at the current moment?
Currently is Bruno Fernandes,
Casemiro. No, not three. Tell me that squad, the team that is going to the season. The team doesn't get played with three players only. Kobe Mainoo.
So because it suits your agenda, you don't want to do combined 11. You want to do squad because Man United.
Yeah, Habibi, because the season is not getting played with combined 11. That is what you're getting. That's not what you're missing. The season doesn't get played on a combined 11, right? Man United, and I said that many times. Man United are filling the holes at the current moment. Chelsea are adding to a team that is already stacked with good players or not. I think the majority of the Chelsea players are good. Are they Arsenal level, Man City level, Liverpool level? They might not, but some of them are very good. I believe.
What do you judge them? What are you judging the Chelsea players on? Because I think your metrics.
I'm going to tell you.
I think your metrics.
I'm answering you. I'm answering you now.
Okay, but let me finish.
Let me tell you what Mo's judging on because I
His
know
metric is different for both teams.
No, you know what is
no. I'm gonna tell you what I'm judging. Hold on, Salad. She asked me. She didn't ask you. She asked me. She didn't ask you, my friend.
And a precursor.
Go ahead.
Mina, Mo has decided that he likes Chelsea more than Man United, and he just feels
wrong. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I am basing this Chelsea team without the manager, and that's why I said the manager is an unknown for me.
And
no one mentioned
manager, Habibi. No one mentioned manager
in the team. Last, I'm gonna so just to finish this and to finalize this, guys, right? To get my point. Last season on the pitch, with all the injuries that Man United had and all the injuries that Chelsea had, which proves my point, right? So forget the managers. Chelsea looked better on the pitch throughout the whole season than Manchester United. Does anyone here disagree? All the underlying stats, everyone that watched Chelsea, everyone that watched Man United.
And what happened?
Is that statement right? Okay, hold on. Is that statement right or wrong? Anyone in the chat who looked better on the pitch last season? Chelsea or Manchester United? Answer that and you would know why. Mo doesn't have an agenda. I just speak based on what I saw.
No, Chelsea looked better in the second half of the season. I'll tell you that. But then at the same time,
see, you had to put second half, first half. I am telling you generally who looked better last season from both teams. If you answer that question, you would know why I picked Chelsea's team over Manchester United. Everyone in the chat would say Chelsea, but everyone would say I have an agenda.
And to be honest,
Because your
to be honest
metrics
as
are
well.
different.
No. Also,
but
wait,
this is
no.
what Mo does,
I
though.
have the same
wait,
measuring stick.
Alan,
One season, 38 games.
This is why Mo's disingenuous
This is
because
not disingenuous.
Mo, this is why Mo's disingenuous. Going into a new season, you're assuming best case scenario for
New
everyone.
season.
No injuries.
No. See,
No,
no,
he's talking about
Muhammad. No new season, nothing. There is no football that has been played yet in the new season. So the only measuring stick that's a fact that we saw from these two teams are a 38 games that has been played already. Which team looked better on the pitch? Manchester United or Chelsea?
Yeah, and
So
also
what are
as
you?
well.
So then, are you saying Chelsea is the better team or
Team
got the
over,
better
yes.
squad?
At the current
She's talking
moment,
about
yes.
squad.
I don't think they got the better
Until
squad.
I'm gonna tell you the difference. It can't change because Eric Ten Hag can go back to the first season. That's an assumption. And Enzo Maresca can turn out to be a bum. That's why I removed both managers from my equation. Why? Because Enzo Maresca is an unknown. And I'm gonna say that Eric Ten Hag is an unknown as well. The reason why Eric Ten Hag can be 22-23 Eric Ten Hag, or it can be 23-24 Eric Ten Hag. We don't know.
Bro,
And also-
Until he
wait,
plays, we don't know.
Thinking about managers because I literally went through Man United's team, and
Salad,
the
so
only
wait,
player the only player you could comfortably say was Cole Palmer, right?
So,
yeah,
wait,
maybe
sorry, Salad.
maybe like Fofana, but like
I think
Man
Mina's
United-
contemplating what I'm saying.
Let me say
No,
something.
She's getting my point.
Give me 1 second.
No,
Give me a
I
second.
need to see
Anyway.
your bank account to see
me-
if
give
Clear
me-
Lake are paying you.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So this is the problem.
I
Sometimes when
am-
we look at these things. We look at the names of the players and we don't look about what we saw on the pitch. Let's be real. Last year, especially if you look at midfield, Chelsea had a dysfunctional midfield. Man United had a horrific looking midfield, and yes, injuries plays into that. And when we talk about teams and squads, if you get injured, listen, the team that you end up with, the 25 players you end up with in the start of the season, is the choice of the managers. Whether or not he's got the money or not, he chooses to have that team. So if players get injured and you have to replace them, when we had to replace Saliba with Rob Holding, that was our fault. We chose to keep Rob Holding rather than get a better defender. So injuries is not a factor. When you looked at Man United last season, logically and the way you played, it was a mess sometimes. Sometimes it just looked like once it came to defending, there was one defender trying to defend space. Sometimes it was like 3-4-1 against one defensive midfielder. It looked like an absolute mess. And we felt like teams could cut through Man United so easily. The one thing about Chelsea was that they had defensive lapses, but actually they still played structurally better as a team than Man United. So if you're going based off just last year, you'd say Chelsea are a better team constructively. The names might look better on paper, right? But the team itself and how they played. And again, I'll go back to this. Man United finished with -1 goal difference last year. That tells you that there's a total issue with the team itself, because no team in the top half should have less goals scored than conceded. So we're talking issue in defending and attacking.
This is the last point. I'm gonna let Mossad get his point across, and that's the last point. You get your point across. Get your point across.
We're gonna have this conversation at the end of the season because it's easy to see what has happened last year. Man United had a terrible season, everyone knows that, but they're in a much better position. You can see they're being run a lot. Even you, right at the start of the show, you were saying how Man United are not being linked with anyone anymore. They're doing what needs to be done. They're doing very, very well. And if they manage to get these targets, they're going to be significantly better than Chelsea, in my opinion. I think they're better than Chelsea now in terms of players. If they add to that and they fix the gaps in the team and they aren't as unlucky with injuries they were last year, I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close.
We'll see. I think we'll see. And the only thing for me for Chelsea is that the manager is an unknown. I have no idea.
But quickly, what's your thoughts on Sancho? We didn't get the chance.
To be honest with you, I don't think there's a lot of revisionism on Sancho. There's a lot of revisionism on Sancho. I'm seeing it online. A lot of people saw the half a season he did at Dortmund or one season that he did at Dortmund, whatever he played last season. And they think because he made up with Ten Hag, he should be playing. And I remember when Sancho was still under Oli, he didn't play well. In the first season under Ten Hag, he didn't play well. Sancho never gave me the vibes that he suits Manchester United for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but that's why I think that Jadon Sancho, if the right bid comes in, he should be sold.
Yeah.
The fact that he had a fight with Erik Ten Hag midway through the season does not negate the 2 seasons that he had. This will be his 4th season. So before he fights with Ten Hag, he already had 2.5 seasons. Am I wrong? I remember he looked good in the preseason last season, but after this, during the season, he came on the pitch a couple of times and looked absolutely not the right fit for anything. Like even Marcus Rashford, when people say about Marcus Rashford didn't have a good season, do we remember the good moments? The goal that Marcus Rashford scored against City? Some goals that Marcus Rashford scored shows you that maybe Marcus Rashford in the right environment, he can get you these moments more often. I don't remember Sancho in 2.5 years having a good game at Man United. And there was no fight. People just remember the last 6 months when he had a fight and think, yes, he made up with Ten Hag. He should play football. No,
And
he shouldn't.
Also, I've always believed that Sancho is not a Premier League football player just by his attributes in terms of pace, power, and things like that. I think, again, the best thing that happened to him was that loan for me, because basically you took him out of Premier League and put him in a different league, and he played better in a league that was a little bit slower and a little bit less powerful. And he might just be one of those players where, you had the same thing with Di Maria. No one's going to say Di Maria is not an absolute, elite talent, one of the best that we've ever seen. Just didn't fit the Premier League. And we've seen some times where players who've got great names, done good, good stuff abroad, come to the Premier League and it just doesn't suit them. And it might be
maybe just doesn't suit them. I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Premier League players as well that don't do well, but it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Let me just do the super chat before we head out of here. Mo, please, you have to let me on to defend my club a bit. Listen, you don't need to defend your club. It's 2-0 Mo on the stream. But Chelsea, man, it's 2-0 Mo already on the stream, my friend. Mo already winning 2-0. Names don't matter. United cheat all season. Let's be real. That's true. That's why I'm basing it on. My friend, that's not what I'm basing it on. Based on your logic, you can judge United until 38 games. No, after 10 games, you can judge how Man United play under Erik Ten Hag. Man United didn't play well from the beginning of the season. Chelsea had a structure.
I think it might be to me because I said you look over a 38, like a season is a 38 game league, not
you
just.
You can judge the way the team plays. But anyway, listen, people.
I agree, but no. So to that point, I agree. At the end of next season, we will sit back and look at Man United and say whether it's a success or not based on the 38 games. And look, that is the beauty of hindsight.
We'll see how it goes. But listen, guys, before we go on, Mina's channel is in the description. I'm sure she can get 100 subscribers from this show. It's a 1 click away. You have to. There's just a link. It's an @Mina Football. You click on it. You go and subscribe to her channel. You can like her last video or last 10 videos to help her because that helps her channel massively. She just reached 5K, so congratulations to that for her. Absolutely massive achievement. She's putting content every day. She's working really hard. She's blessed us with her appearance. So go and subscribe to her channel. And also, I'm glad to have Mo Salad here with me. Again, always entertaining, always insightful, always enjoyment. Great debates always with him, of course. And Olo, it's fantastic and great having you guys here. Appreciate everyone that watched us.
One last thing. Can I just say one last thing before we go? Someone asked, what did Arsenal win last season? We won the treble. we won the MLS All-Star, the Emirates Cup, and the Charity Shield. Treble winners, baby.
See you guys. Appreciate everyone that's here. See you guys. We're out of here, people.
Peace.
Let's finish, please. I'm